Hello world and everybody around the world and those of you who are in proximity to me physically here. I am Sarah Waxbacker and I'm so excited that you're joining us for day 6 of 7-part activation series podcast masterclass. Not a podcast, I was just recording a podcast episode, so I'm still in that world. We made it, almost there, this close. And as I was saying yesterday, usually the first day, second day, third day, okay, but those really committed, you are the ones who are still here, and I know who you are because I get to see the reports and I get to see your feedback. So this is amazing and I'm honoring you. Today, we are going to be diving in energetic infrastructure design, and I know it's kind of a mouthful, so let me just break it down. We're going to be talking about 6 specific aspects of it. They're already listed in the description below. As usually, today's transmission almost comes with prepared workbook that you can still download by clicking somewhere around this video. There's a link, opt-in link. And also I'm going to be giving you some deeper practical actions at the end of this masterclass. So my focus today is really on helping you recalibrate your foundation to hold your next level of clarity, your next level of capacity, and your next level of currency. Because if you look at the structure of this whole series, we really start to build from inside out, top to bottom, bottom to top, like the whole dimensions of your multidimensional self, to really give you the comprehensive insights, comprehensive support, comprehensive guidelines for all the things that you are navigating. Now, naturally, some of the things that I mentioned resonated with some of you and some went right above your heads. Some of the things probably made you roll your eyes because like, oh, not again. And some of the things, maybe you heard them once more, but they just landed a little bit differently. And perhaps you had one of those aha or breakthrough moments even where like, oh, finally I get it now. Whichever serves you, I am honored to be able to be the messenger. Today, as mentioned, we're going to be talking about 6 things in particular, and they are business ecosystem, they are living environment, belief architecture, rhythm, habits, and rituals. We'll be talking about support constellation, and last but not least, actual technology tools that are supporting you, which, when you're talking about infrastructure, naturally, most of us think of tools and technology immediately, but we're going to turn this one upside down a little bit. Why are we even talking about the infrastructure, and why is it energetic part in that just as much as it's technical? Because at the end of the day, it's more than just helping you be efficient. The ultimate goal here is helping you establish and maintain and really enjoy this energetic integrity. So that you can hold and channel and sustain your capacity through your seasons, through the cycles, through the surges that define your ability to expand. We spoke about capacity briefly in one of the previous videos, and the illustration that I usually use, it's capacity being like a trash bin, right? You have it, you fill it up with waste, and sometimes you think, oh, I'm just gonna get a bigger one so I can hold more. But if it's waste, it needs to be taken out anyway. So perhaps even a smaller one will do. It just needs more frequent emptying. But the capacity we're talking about here, it's, yes, if you imagine this physical basket as it applies to your mindset, meaning you have the strength, you have the resilience, you have the stamina. If we are talking about emotions, you have the emotional intelligence, you have discernment, you have the tools, you have everything that you need to keep your system regulated. If we're talking about physical capacity, we're talking about typically the first thing that people think about is the time and the scheduling. Then it's physical capacity as if in the body, the home of your soul and the source of all that you are and how you're moving through life. Then it's spiritual capacity, and you know, so on and so forth. And there are so many different aspects of them, and they're all there to support you. Sometimes they do fall out of balance. Sometimes you run out of space. And the work that we have done thus far, in a way, does help you to not only take out what no longer supports you and serves you, not only expand that capacity, but also show you the difference and give you the ability to be now very mindful of what is that you are filling that empty space with. Which brings me actually to a business ecosystem. We're going to start with that one because it's a topic that's really close to my heart. It's something that clearly I can talk about day in and day out, and I have been through different iterations of my own business as well as with my clients, so I know firsthand how it also feels when you're going through those personal changes that impact the business, and how it feels when the business is evolving and it's pulling you with it, and there's this friction, there's this disconnect, and it feels like sometimes you just want to scream into a pillow. Other times you're like on top of the world and everything is going great, and you're just waiting for the wheels to start falling off, because it's like, it can't be that good. Well, it can actually, and it should. But business ecosystem in general, what I want to talk about is it has different layers. Again, I know that I speak in a lot of layers, but that's one of the things. I am not a person for 3-step formulas or something that is just this one thing and one thing only will unlock everything, or this latest and greatest. This is not me. If this is what you're looking for, I will be happy to help you find the person who will be the best match for that, but it's probably not going to be me. What I do offer here is elevated awareness. It's a different perspective. Oftentimes in business, we develop this myopic vision, and it's crucial to have somebody who can come in and elevate you, change your paradigms around certain things, because at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. So even if you are committed to solving certain problems, even if you're committed to expanding your knowledge, if you don't know that you don't know something, you don't even know where to look for it, you don't even know it's not there, and you don't even know it might be missing, and sometimes that might be just that missing link that makes everything click. So through all those layers, when we're talking about the business ecosystem, I want to be transparent and tell you that my best work is done with creatives and with service providers. I did have a couple individuals come through my practice in the past who offered either product or who were like a hybrid, let's say gym owners, that they offered, they had something, product for sale, they had services to sell, they had personal service, group service. It was very dynamic, but still it was more leaning onto service than not. So if you're looking for somebody to just give you a blueprint for some latest and greatest funnel that you can copy paste, again, that's not going to be me. Just be transparent here. And if you are a person who's selling tools and you know, technical aspects, electronics, consumer goods, probably not the right person here, unless you're talking about personal development aspect and the internal culture of your business and globalization of that company. Then we can have a conversation, definitely. But going back to why we're here today, it is for those of you who are service-based businesses. Some of you are still mainly the central person in the business. Some of you have already developed teams. Some of you are even scaling beyond what you had possibly imagined that could even become that business of yours. So when we're talking about the energetic structure, most of my clients have come to a point in their business evolution when they had to reassess their business models. They had to audit the client flow, how their services are being delivered, how the money is received, how their money is stewarded. And how to hold and further build their brilliance without actually toppling over, without knocking everything over, without having to tear everything down. Because at the end of the day, you know, there has been so much invested and so much sacrifice to get them to where they are, that the last thing they want is just take a sledgehammer and knock it all down. There are instances, of course, when that is the only way, and I had one of my favorite clients that we got to work with switched industries entirely, and we were able to rebuild by rebuilding him first. One of the testimonial he provides is really, really detailed, and in it he talks about how we actually went through fires and everything burnt off, how he felt lost and overwhelmed, because he built the first business to incredible success by following all the rules and all the expectations. Clients loved him, he had incredible reputation, but he collapsed in bed, burnt out, disconnected, overwhelmed, resentful even. And then he transitioned to what he thought would be coaching, but there was still, what was holding him back in that regard was self-esteem and the perception that he was receiving from those who were supposed to support him the most. Now, this is partially in the support constellation section to be addressed, but still, you know, so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to convey here is it took incredible amount of courage and determination to really do this 180. Most of the time when clients come to me, the work is not as severe. It mostly become little tweaks and repackaging things from, let's say, hourly to high-end retainers, from working one-on-one to scaling a little bit, bringing team over so that you don't have to do everything anymore, but you can take a step back and actually become the CEO of the company. I had a couple of those examples with especially women who, you know, were holding down the business front, traveling the country back and forth, left and right, attending all different events, and still had little ones at home to take care of, and 24 hours a day just wasn't enough. And they knew that they didn't want to sacrifice either. They wanted to grow both, continuously growing their family, being present as much as they could, really enjoying it, but not paying the price of having to forgo their businesses, having to give up on their dreams, but still nourish that ambition of theirs. So those tweaks in service delivery were the solution for them. Then we're talking about money reception. And the reason I'm bringing this one up here is money at the end of the day is energy. So energetic infrastructure, how you receive money, it is very important. And that, of course, entails everything from the legalities in the back end to the technical aspects, especially in today's global markets, when things seem to be stable and they are not stable anymore, and things seem to be flowing, and then a glitch in a system freaks everything out and makes everything stop. So what are your channels? What are your plan A, plan B, plan C? And especially, what is your perception of that energy? Culture also plays a big role in this, and how you were raised. If you are from, let's say I'm from Slovenia, and it pains me to say that, but it almost seems like a national sport to try to negotiate and get things for free, as opposed to my experience in the States. When you start something, my experience has been that even friends and family would be like, oh, can I buy something from you to support your business, as opposed to try to nickel and dime you. So there's this cultural aspect. It's the belief system that we're going to be touching upon as well. But they go hand in hand, and they all, to a degree, are obviously reflected in your business. And then how you have evolved is also reflected back in your community, back to your circles. And at the end of the day, you are the one who is drawing those boundaries, who is saying, this is what I'm not available for anymore. It served me, and I'm moving on. I'm changing things. I'm changing the rules. I'm changing how I present myself. I'm changing what I stand for. I'm changing how I channel things. I'm changing what I receive and how I receive it. And at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about being a business owner is that you have the freedom and you have the power to control all of that. And probably sometimes the most exciting part about it is when you take a look at things and like, okay, great, everybody told me to do it this way, but I chose to do it differently. And look, it worked. And now everybody wants to be like me and copy me. But it is your energetic signature in everything that you touch. So you probably have learned that when you try to mimic somebody else, there was only thus far that you were able to get. But once you switch things and did it your way in congruency, the whole floodgates opened, right? So this is when it comes to business ecosystem. When we're talking about living environment, unfortunately, it has been my experience, even as a client, I'm not gonna be even talking about a student of business development and organization and the whole shebang that is offered through MBA programs, very expensive MBA programs to be exact. By the end of the day, when I got out of the school, I was clueless about how to actually make it all work, much less how to balance and how to run and have a fulfilling life. That frequently is one of the sacrificial artifacts at the altar of success for one to many people in business, whether it's business owners, whether it's executives. It's so easy to put aside and keep pushing aside and minimize the impact and importance of those who love us the most, because they're always there, right? It's like, oh, just this call, oh, just this email, oh, just this one thing, I'm just finishing this, I'm just finishing that. And you look around and the days have gone by and you're wondering, like, why is the relationship not there anymore? Why are my kids not talking to me anymore? Why is my spouse just not in the mood anymore? Well, because you have built this wall around you and everything else is more important than they are. Which also one of my mentors in the past kept telling me, you know, the way you do one thing is how you do everything. And that way, if we are continuously prioritizing others over our family, chances are we're also prioritizing others over ourselves. So living environment, I want to tie the two, like, how is prioritizing me tied to a living environment? Well, living environment actually holds a frequency, and that frequency does matter. And if you are not at your optimal, chances are that even you can be the most beautiful space, you're just not going to feel at home. And more often than not, I've heard, and I've even experienced it myself, when you just try to run away and you just keep looking and keep searching and keep moving, and it's like you're looking for something that's not there because you haven't found it within yourself and you haven't grounded it within yourself. But just as much as you're doing that work, you can be the most dedicated person and you can be the most ritualistic person and you have the most discipline. I've known individuals who religiously get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to start their morning routine, including yoga and meditation and running and the whole 9 yards and journaling, you name it. At the end of the day, they are just as drained because of their environment being incompatible with who they are becoming, what they require, what their priorities are, and at what level they are vibrating and they want to vibrate. There's just it's like a chemical reaction that just doesn't work. So I've had, over the years, the more recent years, I'd say 3 out of 5 people that I was working with ended up moving. I myself ended up uprooting our lives in the States and move us to Slovenia. And it was not necessarily searching for something, because at that point I already knew where it was. It was just the matter of making the physical move. finding the courage and building that capacity to be able to hold my family through that move. And every space, every grid has different energetics as well. And if you are an individual who is sensitive to that, please do not dismiss it. Sometimes we are taught that, you know, as I said earlier, some people continuously move looking for something, and they never find it. Some people keep moving because they feel they don't belong there, and once they find it, it's like, ah, this is it. And you can feel it in your heart, you can feel it in your soul. It's just the energy. The way I experienced it coming back to Slovenia every time was land of my ancestors. It was land where all the rosebuds were and wild horses that I got to gather and remember, land of remembrance. But I needed to leave it first for almost 20 years to be able to be ready to come back. So yes, home, land, you know, we can go super niche down. We can look at the greater scale of things, but environment definitely plays a huge role in your energetic infrastructure. It's one of the most important pillars. So if you're at a point when it feels like no matter what is that you have done and no matter how hard you're trying and things just are not taking off or moving forward the way you know they should be, I would invite you to consider your environment and not just your office space, moving furniture around, repainting the walls, maybe getting a different chair, not just moving to the other side of the town, but really affording yourself the opportunity to explore the world and see where is this space that you gravitate towards. Of course, that takes and brings with the whole myriad of logistics. And again, you will know when this is the endeavor that you need to undertake, and you will know when this is non-negotiable for you. And I hope that you find the strength and clarity and power actually to see it through in a way that is aligned with your knowing, your mission, your purpose. And I know we're going to be talking about it more tomorrow when we talk about sacred union strategies, but I do want to offer that it has also been my experience that those who matter to us the most, those who are truly meant to be in our lives, eventually they will come on the journey with us, and we will be there with the wind in their sails and blazing the trail of a path that they can then enjoy and create a different life that they did not even see was possible for them either. But you are the one who's blazing the trail, shining the light, illuminating the possibilities, and that in itself is extremely, extremely powerful and taxing endeavor. So definitely not for the faint of heart. We're moving on to belief architecture. The unseen infrastructure, which is your subconscious agreements about your ease, the value, support system, success, it governs everything that you do and how you show up and how your own system functions, internal and external system. And let me tell you, that in itself, we can talk about for the next 5 days. I have a ton of material already on the mindset and belief systems and all the support and the shifts and so on. It's something I've been doing for years. So I'm not going to be repeating myself very much in this regard. But at the end of the day, what I wanted to say is this is internal work that never ends. It's almost as if you imagine walking up a castle on a spiral staircase. When you start at the bottom, what do you see? You see maybe, let's say you're in the woods and you see some tree trunks and some shrubs. You enter the building and you start ascending, spiraling up, and you come to the first window, and now you can see I don't know, some branches. You keep going, next floor up, you look through the next window and now you see the treetops. Okay, great. Now you keep on going and now you can see just above the treetops. But the things that were blocked by the tree trunks before, now you can see on the horizon starting to emerge. And now you keep ascending and keep ascending and keep ascending. And those windows there, every single time you get to the next level, you can see more. And things that were blocking your vision become minimal. And the horizons are opening up and you're able to take in a bigger picture. The windows, however, are not just for here as a sense of the view through which you can see, but oftentimes also serve as an analogy of the devils. They say new level, new devil, and oftentimes we still deal with the same stuff every single time we come around to the next level. But when you work on your belief system, when you work on that architecture, you will also notice that things that used to consume you and drain you and topple you over and take you out of commission for weeks, maybe months, through this training and dedication and evolution and peeling back the layers of the onion and evolving and emerging, you are getting to a point when not only you're able to alchemize and transmute it, maybe it takes hours, maybe it takes minutes, but now you also have the awareness of it coming your way and you can make different choices right out of the gate when you don't even have to deal with this thing because you're like, oh, I recognize it, got it. I don't have to engage with this thing anymore. I can just accept that it's there, give it a cookie, just like we do with the kids in the backseat. Here's a cookie and we keep on going, right? And it is so liberating to be able to get to that point. My own experience with that, as I said, coming from a culture with incredible scarcity mindset, with incredible, when it's going to sound extremely mean, and I take this, and I say this with the most respect and love and compassion, but oftentimes it feels like a national sport here, despite the fact that we have some of the top athletes in the world. The national sport here is complaining and being envious of what somebody else has and being almost wishing them all the worst as a result. There is literally a saying in my culture that roughly translates into, well, if my cow dies, I hope my neighbors loses too. Right? To that degree. Things are changing very slowly, and with markets opening, with the communication capacities, with the infrastructure that allows us to be connected with people around the world, of course, different perspectives, different teachings are coming in, and we are able to communicate different, learn new things, acquire new skills, expand our own horizons, and change our perspective, which is always a beautiful thing. But when you come back to a culture like this, I noticed with myself that there were moments when I noticed that I'm starting to shrink back again. I'm like, oh, okay, mindful here. We're not engaging here. We're not doing this. Outlive that. That doesn't serve us anymore. Keep on moving forward, holding that space, expanding my capacity, and really enjoying it on purpose. You know what I'm saying? All right, so this is the belief architecture, because at the end of the day, it's not just believing, and I realize I say a lot about today's menu is at the end of the day phrase, seemingly. So I'll try to be a little bit mindful so I don't repeat myself again. That said, belief architecture is not just things that you're saying to yourself, but as we were talking yesterday, voice alchemy. It's also how you show up. It's also how you create, what you create, how you present yourself, how you speak, how you lead, how you approach turmoils, how you approach problem solving. Everything is impacted by your belief architecture. It also ultimately, this was interesting. Facebook just offered me to add some hand gestures in there. So I'll stop talking with my hands. Where were we? Ultimately, the mindset and energetics are very deeply connected when we go down that route to explore that on a deeper level. But if you know that you need to recalibrate yourself to your desires, this is the shortcut. It is ruthless work, but is the shortcut to get there is through the belief architectures. All right, so moving on to rhythm, habits, and rituals. Sacred scaffolding that keeps your energy clean and your work sustainable is what my notes say. And from voice activations to calendar rituals, rituals are infrastructure. Those of you who are athletes, you know that rituals are part of what we do, who we are. Whether you think it or not, you know, you put left shoe on first, you take a shower before the game, you don't shave during the playoffs, or whatever your rituals might be. They are connected to belief system, omens, good luck, not spirituality, what's the word that I'm trying to find now? Superstition. There you go. But the rituals are so much more than that. And ultimately, what happens when we do things, when we repeat doing things the same thing over and over again, yeah, we developed our own rhythm, but those things also become our habits. And one of the hardest things when we are redesigning that infrastructure is realizing and changing our habits, because it takes at least 60 days of conscious awareness and conscious choosing something different to change those habits. And 60 days, it's not the walk in the park always. Just like with this series, you know, first couple of days, there's enthusiasm and there's novelty and, you know, we're going to do this and I feel good about myself. And then like, you know, I'm just going to skip the live today and I'm going to do a recording. And then the kids' homework show up and the neighbors come over for a visit and something breaks down in your house. And like, yeah, I'll catch up tomorrow. That tomorrow then never comes. But when you make it a habit, and when you're conscious about it and when you choose it, things are a little bit different. And especially when you commit to doing something when nobody's watching. You know, everybody can show up at a fitness when it's full and take selfies. But when there's no one watching at 5 o'clock in the morning, when you're the only one there, that's a whole different story. And one of my coaches always said, you know, whatever you do at dark always comes out at night. And this is such a great analogy, because even if you stick with sports for a moment, most of the time spent in sports is actually practicing, not playing games. You practice the whole week, day in, day out, 30 some hours a week. Some of the athletes for what? Like Simone Biles, 34-hour-a-week practice for what? A 2-minute routine? Yeah, but you play the way you practice, and the way you develop those habits, and the way you honor those routines and rituals, it's what gets you through, and you build a muscle memory, and it becomes familiar when you don't even think about it. It's second nature. So when I say, you know, the sacred scaffolding that keeps your energy clean and your work sustainable, only if you consciously keep it clean and sustainable. And when you consciously choose the habits and develop the rituals that support you and sustain you. And when I'm talking about supporting and sustaining, I'm referring to the rhythm that becomes natural to you. I'm a firm believer that every one of us has a natural rhythm. Just looking at my husband and I'm a morning person. He's a night owl. And yes, he can get up in the morning if he absolutely needs to. And yeah, I can stay up till 3 o'clock at night if I absolutely need to, but no more. I used to. It's how I was trained. It's what my habits were, what my rituals were when I had to squeeze in practicing and studying and maintaining certain grades and meeting deadlines and whatnot. But once I became on my business owner and a mom,
and I actually started to listen to my body and honor that natural rhythm of mine, I realized I'm more of a morning person. My dogs absolutely love it, because we get to spend time outside early in the morning when there's nobody out there. But I also noticed that my rhythms are not changing just because I'm getting older, but are also heavily influenced by seasons. It's summertime, 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I'm awake and ready for the day on my own. In the wintertime, oh my goodness, 7 o'clock, it's still dark outside. Really? We need to get up and we need to go out? No, puppies, go lay down a little bit longer. You know what I'm talking about if you have dogs at home, or little ones for that matter. But I have to knock on wood, our little ones have always been just so gracious with allowing us to sleep in and never tormenting us. I really don't know how we got so lucky with the kids that we have. They are beyond any gift, divine gift that we could ask for or possibly imagine. And we tell them that all the time. So rhythms and rituals, that's it, right? Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be curious to know what are some of the changes that you are making in your rituals, in your habits, to honor that rhythm of yours. Before we move on to support constellation and tech tools and transmission, I also want to offer you some mindset shift in case it still might feel a little bit disconnected between energetics and infrastructure and the whole systems conversation. Oftentimes we are so trained that systems are just this soulless thing, but I'd like to offer they're actually a very sacred thing, because they support you, they move you through the day, they move you through the week, they allow you to do things that you need to do and that you want to do in a way that feels incredible, but only if they are the right ones. And that in itself is equal parts of art as it is science, to figure out what are those systems, what is that infrastructure you need to put in place for yourself. When I first started out my business 12, 13 years ago, I didn't realize how tech savvy I actually was on the surface, but the more work that I did and the more client contracts that were coming in and different requests, I was like, oh, I can actually do this. Oh, that's not that hard. Oh, I can do this too. And before I knew it, I mastered like a ton of tools and systems for online business, from calendaring to payment systems to websites to funnels to opt-in pages to graphic designs, video, audio editing. I mean, you name it, it's still somewhere on my resume. The incredible amount of that knowledge, and even as it keeps evolving, keeping up with it was like so simple, so easy for me. Now I'm in the space where I actually wrote it down. I have like 4 systems that I'm using, that's it. Very simple. And I also stopped pushing things just because a calendar is on a certain date and a time is at a certain time. I used to, and oftentimes it just felt forced. And now I'm in a season where I'm like, no, it's not my rhythm. It doesn't feel congruent. And I'm not going to be pushing out some content because I should. And I'm not going to overwhelm my clients' inboxes because I hate it. I'm going to be the first one to admit it. I probably read maybe 2 emails that are coming in, newsletters, unsubscribing from most of the others. Very, very, very selective of where my attention and time are going. And chances are, if you're emailing me more than once in a day, yeah, I don't think we're going to be on good terms. So I want to give you the permission slip in case you do need one. Go and figure out and do your own thing. Do it your own way, because you're the only one in the world. There's 8 billion people of us, but there's only one of you, and only one of you can do things your way. Everything else and everybody else is already taken. So I just needed to say that in case it was something that you absolutely needed to hear. Support constellation. As I said, there's 8 billion of us on this planet. Not only is everybody else taken, but it's also an indication that we're just not meant to go at it alone. And I'm going to be the first one to admit that oftentimes through my communications, it does feel like I'm the one doing it all. And that is the farthest from truth. I'm very transparent about my own mentors, about my own support systems. I don't often name them by name, but they know exactly who they are, and I appreciate them. And some of those are sacred and kept private on purpose. Just like some of my clientele, they are private and will never be spoken about, much less named, on purpose, because at this white glove service, it is sacredness of the space. So yeah. All right, so support constellation, team, mentors, loved ones, even ancestral backing. That was something that I really started to lean on over the past couple of years in a way that I never felt the need to. Really leaning on my ancestors to hold me as I kept moving through my life, my evolution, health issues, other challenges that were coming up. And what became so much more important to me was when I lived on a continent that probably does not have a dust of ancestors in its ground, it was the spiritual connection. And also some of the rituals to really evoke that presence. And no, I'm not a person who is a medium. I do not have that gift, but I do believe they do exist. But I have felt presence around me, and it has been just a marvelous experience sometimes a little scary when it's unexpected, but I do believe that there is just so much more. There are so many other realms, so many other planes around us that we can tap into and lean into to get us, to move us forward, to hold a space for us, to help us rearrange literal entire universe when we change course. So I want to, again, inspire you, empower you, motivate you, remind you perhaps that you are not alone in any stretch of the word. Even if you are running this thing solo, whether you're even an athlete, once you're on the court, depending on your sport, it is you, right? Everything depends on you in that very moment, but you are not alone. You are deeply supported. And one of my friends, I love how she always put it, me we they. Even when we were talking and she had a thought, would say, me we they want to know, do you want this feedback? I'm like, me we they who? And it was the same thing. It's like, yes, me and my spiritual guides and my intuition and the whole team is there to support me, to support her clients at the time. So we made it also a playful experience. But before we continue with tech and tools and the practical actions for today, I also want to extend an invitation into 2 ways that I can be part of that constellation, support constellation for you, which is also one of the purposes that I am doing this masterclass series. I'm not hiding at all that I am opening the doors for a season pass, which is a white glove experience that is way more than just mentoring. It's literally a strategic ecosystem, intimate sanctuary, and I want to say trusted brainstorming, brain thrust for someone who's ready, already successful, but in a season of change themselves, and in a season of radical recalibration, in a season when they don't need more, but they need precision and they need partnership and they need permission to evolve, and the guidance and the space holding and sharing of the energy just as much as strategies and tactics and feedback and so on and so forth. The second opportunity for us to collaborate is opening up at the end of June and the beginning of July, when 3 of you, because I do only have a capacity for 3 of you, each one individually, to come over here to my 1,000-year hometown. It is beautiful. The energy is absolutely grounding and inspiring at the same time. And it's a high impact, life altering catalyst what we do is, I want to say, a compressed clarity and reinvention and realignment system, for the lack of a better word, but rather an experience, a getaway that unlocks massive ripple effects for you, not just for those 3 days that we get to spend together. Actually, you get to spend 5 days here, but you and me personally, whole day, 3 days within those 5. And then we also get to spend 30 days for the integration support to really make sure that you have everything that you need to stay the course, because we are shifting your trajectory. Like I said, it's not just for that few days, it's not just for the next week or the next month, but it's literally shifting the trajectory for the next 10 years of your life. Different things are possible within either one, meaning that we can focus on different things, which is something that we can discuss in person and figure out which option is best for you and where you are in your life. What are your priorities? What are your challenges? What are your struggles? What are your objectives? What are your preferences? And then we'll figure out and configure either one of these options for you. And like I said, the tangible outcomes, it's definitely mapping things out and you having them on paper as you walk away. It's also the energetic and physical shifts, a energetic reset in some cases, and it's also momentum gathering, and that translates into so many different things for so many different people that it would be nearly impossible right now to list them all. But like I said, if this interests you, send me a note and we'll go over the details together. Okay, sounds good? Awesome. Where are we? Tool stack and transmissions. As I already mentioned, I'm only using about 4 systems at a time. At this time, very simplistic way of running things. And I am also here to tell you that you can keep things simple, even if it's not just you, even if you have a small team or a larger team. You can definitely keep it simple and you can keep it flowy with minimal friction points, because what I also encountered quite a few times in working with clients is that they're so passionate about what they're doing and they're so committed to excellence and they're so committed to bringing that long fought for vision to life, and they're still so full of ideas and excitement, and they are actually the driving force behind it all, to the degree that even as they have built a team around them, they actually became the bottleneck in that system of theirs. Even when they tried the simplicity, they became the bottleneck, or when they made things super complex and super complicated, that in itself became a bottleneck. So again, it is a very fine line, and it is another thing that keeps, it's like a vessel that I said that carries your energy and that will elevate your presence when done right, not dilute it, and that it will serve the frequency and function that you're bringing into the world and not distract from it when done right. That's the key point here, when done right. And what is the right thing will depend on where you are, how you do things, who you serve, why you do things, and so on and so forth. So again, like I said, there's no simple three-step formula here, because everything is just so customized, highly customized, white glove approach. And here we really do understand complexities. When we get together, yeah, we simplify them, we break them down so they're easily digestible, even the most comprehensive things and the ones that will stop you in tracks on your own. But for the purpose of this transmission, I'm not here to offer some marching orders if I don't know you. I'm not here to offer some 3-step, whatever, like I said earlier, magic strategies if I don't know you. But I am here to bring your awareness to the fact that things can be a lot easier and a lot simpler than they perhaps are. I'm here to illuminate different paths from the one that you might be walking. I'm here to showcase that even if you feel like you're walking in the dark, hey, there's a lighthouse somewhere out there. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You follow it. And I'm here to empower you that even when you feel like you're lost and you lost the direction, I am here to help you find that inner guidance and connect with that inner guidance, that inner compass, so to speak, so that you can continue with confidence and clarity and the expanded capacity on the path that you are choosing for yourself and that has also chosen you. That's why when you try to copy somebody else, it just didn't work. Just as if you need a reminder of that. All right, so how are we feeling this far? Another mindset shift is a conversation about those bottlenecks that I mentioned earlier, right? Oftentimes we are the ones who are standing in our own way, and we do need first the awareness that actually we are standing in our own way, the acceptance that we are standing in our own way, and then determination and courage and openness and willingness and availability to do something about it, to get out of our own way, to get out of the way of our team, and so on and so forth. But I would also like to tell you that every bottleneck that does exist doesn't mean the game over, but it can also serve as a breadcrumb towards what's next, because every single time something goes sideways, there are cues. If you pick them up and if you study them, if you analyze them, if you read them, and if you lean into them, you will find the answers in the biggest mess and in the biggest breakdowns. And yeah, the phrase breakdown before the breakthrough didn't come out of thin air for no reason, right? So there you go. And then the third one, ease, I want to say, let's see how we can phrase it that actually hopefully lands. Ease, it's not a luxury. I would argue that ease is a leadership responsibility. That as leaders, we are here to create ease and to enjoy ease, not just for ourselves, but for those around us. And, you know, oftentimes, again, depending on where you are, the cultural differences can play a huge part in it. And that was one of the things that really struggled with in the States, was this culture that glorified busyness, culture that glorified hyper-individualism, culture that glorified struggle, culture that glorified every single thing that I was raised on the opposite side of the spectrum. And it was, yes, it allowed me to become who I am. It allowed me to really find my own way in between. But generally speaking, sometimes I just wish I could get the megaphone and scream from the top of the rooftops, hey, there's a better way out there. It doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be such a struggle. It doesn't have to be such a push. It doesn't have to be so brutal, you know, especially for women, especially for mothers, working moms, moms in business, stay-at-home moms who, you know, working unappreciated, invisible labor. All these conversations are happening, so I'm not gonna go there right now. But as leaders, it is our responsibility, again, to create that ease for ourselves, for those around us, and for greater purposes, so to speak. All right, so we are coming towards the end of today's transmission, and the last thing on the agenda is the practical actions, the homework, if you will. So I would like to assign you the first step, the first thing, the first homework, the first challenge, which is, and we have done this before in different areas, today's audit is going to be about your tech stack. Do an audit, energetically cleanse it. Go through the things that you are using, go through the things that you are not using. And not just that you're not using them and they're clogging your operating system, they're probably also being continuously charged on your card without you knowing. And as we said, money is energy. If you're dripping that out, what else are you dripping out without your awareness, right? So plug those buckets. Which translates to outdated platforms, link automations that no longer reflect your values, the positioning, whatever it is that you do, the offers, the whole 9 yards. Go do your audit, do it with a team, you know, you don't have to do it your own. Secondly, design your own welcome flow as a ritual. You know, we were talking about, and we have done the letter for you, we did the affirmation, we did the video or audio recording for yourself. So this is just upgrading the previous work that you have already put in this. So it's not starting from scratch, it's actually building upon that. So this design welcome flow, map out the intentional process of how somebody enters your world if you are a business or service provider. Or maybe even at home, you know, the flow when your kids come from school, when you and your spouse are together. What is the beautiful, expansive, nourishing energy that you can help cultivate? And how can you design it into a ritual? Have fun with that one. And then last but not least, I would like to invite you to create your energetic standards document. What does that mean? You know how we have standard operating procedures in businesses, and we have different policies, and we have user manuals. Well, consider that to be one, but with the energetic standards. So know that this is going to be a continuously living, breathing thing that will continue to evolve with you. But sometimes it helps to have something tangible and have it at our fingerprints. I actually have one of my versions in a folder. It's kind of like, I need to feel things tangibly. I love the ease of online systems and tablets, but there are certain things I just need to have on paper. Just like today, some of my notes are actually on paper right here in the pen, and I can scribble, make quick notes to it. So this is no different. And when you create one, outline how you work, outline what's sacred in your space and why. Also get honest with yourself about what is that you are tolerating and what is that you're no longer willing to tolerate. And that can actually piggyback on the no list that you created the first day. And then, you know, use that as a reference point for bigger decisions that you're making, whether it's onboarding new team members, whether it's onboarding new clients, whether it's making your living decisions, whether it's planning up your next week at home. Whatever it is, you can use this as a guidance and a reference point to keep you on track and to remind yourself about the energetic infrastructure that you absolutely need and deserve to have in your environment, both in business, in your career, as well as at home. All right, so with that, we're concluding today's transmission. And as we were discussing earlier, if you are interested in Season Pass, which is a 9, 12, or 18-month opportunity to partner up and work together, and it's all inclusive, meaning there's many different ways to support you, including speed dial support, pre-scheduled sessions, VIP days, strategic planning, and the retreat in person in one of the European places of your choosing. Or if you just want to hop on a plane and come over, and we can dig into the retreat for clarity and maybe do some ghostwriting, maybe do some actual creative, tangible stuff right there in those 3 days, let me know, and we'll figure it out. What is it you need, that you want, and how we can make it work together. And also keep in mind, there are substantial investments, because you and your vision and your value and your energy and your peace of mind are not a bargain, right? So this is how we are showing up on the whole next level for your next chapter in style, so to speak, and with determination and with clarity and courage and a little pinch of audacity, and also some mysticism. And when I say mysticism, I say it very intentionally, because there are just aspects, even here, describing what is that we're talking about in the activation series, talking about the offerings and opportunities. There are some things that they just can't be described, they can only be experienced. And the ideal buyer that I'm calling in and work with is very similar to how I operate, which means I do not need all the details, because I make a decision with heart and I make the decision with a gut feeling when I feel it. There's very little information that I actually need beyond that, because I have learned over the years, when you know, and you take the leap and you figure it out and you do it. And the moment you press that button, it's like the sky opens and something happens. Again, impossible to describe, but something happens when you show up for yourself, when you show up for your vision, when you show up for your knowing and for the trajectory of your own life, for your legacy on a whole different level. You know it. You will know it. So, all right. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited about tomorrow's final transmission. We'll be talking about sacred union strategies. And yeah, that's going to be a good one, because it's going to be something I have never talked about before, I have never done before. It equally scares me and excites me, so I know it's going to be a good one. Until then, I hope you're having a wonderful reminder of the day wherever in the world you are. If you're watching live, it was so great to see you here. And if you are catching the replay, I am honoring your commitment, and I'll see you the next time. Take care.